All right, so I'll tell you a little about my great uncle Arthur Potter. When I was a kid, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, my great grandparents. I felt lucky to be able to do that. And my great grandfather, Grenade Lawler is what we called him, his wife, or excuse me, his sister Myrtle was married to this fellow named Arthur Potter. And Arthur Potter was a World War I veteran. Arthur, so, these people were in their 90s in the 1980s, if that gives you an idea. So, when I was a little kid, 7, 8 years old, they were in their 90s. And Arthur, one day my granny said, well, I want to go see your Aunt Myrtle. And they lived 3 houses up from my great grandparents. So, I would go with her anywhere she would go, and I might get a cookie or get to kick it or whatever it may be. And Arthur, we get up there, and Arthur is on the roof, and he's got a pair of work boots on with like, knee-high socks with the stripes and a pair of cut-off shorts. And that's it. He's, in his late 80s at the time working on the roof. And he's covered in tattoos, but it's all pinup girls. So, like, some of my earliest memories of seeing tattoos, other than, like, my real father had a circus-style tiger on his upper arm. It was junk. But anyway, Arthur's tattoos were really nice. And he said it was the same woman. He said all the pinups were the same girl. And I guess my Aunt Myrtle. But he had a girl in a hammock on his chest, which is a dope one that you don't see a ton. He had a girl standing up here, and then inside here she was bent over. On the front, he had a girl doing a handstand, and on the inside, the girl like balancing on a beach ball, like on a ball, standing on a ball. He had him on the front of his thighs, the front of his shins, the back of his thighs. He had him on both arms, like pinup girl heads on his arms, and he was just covered in these, early pinup girl tattoos. And then, we didn't go see them a whole lot, but I always wanted to see that stuff again. So then fast forward maybe 2 years or whatever, I think he had passed away, and we went back to their house. And again, it was just right up the street from my great-grandparents' home. And they let my brother and I go into the basement. And down in the basement was Arthur's workshop. And every surface of his workshop was covered in cutouts with pinups. And then he had lacquered over them. So, like the column that was holding the ceiling up, like the support on that, all 4 sides covered in girls top to bottom. The workbench covered in girls top to bottom. The bench he sat on covered in girls. And, it could be like stuff from a newspaper, stuff from a magazine, stuff from an advertisement. I mean, every surface, like the back where he had his... he had like a flywheel, for buffing and all that stuff. Behind it, it was all girls. Everywhere, all these surfaces that were permanent were pinups everywhere. So not only did he have an ill collection of great pinup tattoos, but he was all in and had his whole basement just sleeved out, with wild pinups everywhere. And I always wondered, the house is still there, and I ride up there, but I haven't taken the time to just knock on the door and be like, yo, can I see the basement? But hopefully that's all still there too. It's out in Selma, Virginia.